Hey now, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am Simple Jack from Nation 30. Today, the topic will be about nation rules, and we're going to talk a little bit about the latest update released by Camel. But before we get into that, let me introduce the rest of the team. From World 285, we have Lumberg. World 524, we've got Matty D. Himiko from World 330. And we've got Woody from World 373 and World 52. Welcome, guys. All right. Yep. All right. Yeah. So let me see if I can pull up the latest update. Lumberg, let me get your sense on what you think it's going to be about as I pull these up. Let me see here. It's under system. Yeah, we definitely had that problem, and we were hoping for another merge soon, and we were asking to have maybe C30s and belows just not poured over, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. I knew you'd have the stats on that. Yeah. All right. So I've got this notification for the update. So essentially 2 points. 1 point is there's going to be points for killing Titans and warplanes in Void and Battle Frenzy, right? The second one is going to be that you can't deploy Titans in a defensive front if your city has less than 5,000 troops. So, Lumberg, what do you think that's going to spell for the nations going forward? So, but I've heard that Woody, you faced a nation that was like nothing but Titan traps. So Do you see these effects or these rules affecting that strategy?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. It was. It, that was pretty, and hey, hey,
4 is it's an eye opener.
Wow. Sounds like we're having a technical difficulty. So, Maddie D, if you don't mind, talk about that rule, and I'm going to see if I can get this worked out.
Oh, yeah. It looks like they can't hear any of us.
Yeah, that's not good. Let's see.
So I will refrain from talking until we get it squared away.
I mean, one of us can be in the YouTube and see if you can hear us.
Yep, that would be good. Just enabled some audio. Let's see if that's coming out. We actually might need somebody else to talk to so we can tell if they can hear or not.
Random refresh. I'm going through a store right now, so like could lose power any minute.
Yeah.
Stay safe. I'll keep talking about T4s, so it is interesting if
All right, they can hear us now.
Oh,
okay.
Great.
All right, Lundberg, what were you saying about the T4s?
So, it all depends on the kill to death ratio of Titans, right? So if you really think about it, if T4s are still giving 0 points and you look at any of the battles, unless they've changed the battle mechanics, which I don't think they have, usually a Titan that's about purple can get about just, that has that, the male Titan kind of electric, I forget the name, but that skill usually takes out about, if there's front row especially, takes out about, anywhere from 2 to 6,000 troops, right? So if those 2 to 6,000 troops, the points gained from killing, let's say, T10 or T11, 6,000 troops is going to be less than the kills of a Titan, it's still going to be an effective trap, right? Now, some of the modifications that players can do is that, you send one of each in the front row that's not T10 or T11 or T12, and you just send some back row and kill the Titan that way, and that, effectively can get some points. So there's going to be some new game strategies that I think we're going to find out in Frenzy, really, how much of a game changer this is going to be. If the killing the Titans only gives, let's say, equivalent of 100 T10 troops versus, them killing 6,000, it's not going to change the game much at all.
Yeah, I think Camel's goal here is actually to eliminate the T4 traps. So you're right. We don't know what the points are going to be, but assuming that is their actual goal, the Titan kills are probably going to be pretty high as far as point values go.
Well, let me ask you guys something. We all remember about when we were talking about mergers and how to get merged, and I think I touched on this with us, Simple Jack, not too long ago. So we all know the whole activity, not logging in, so on and so forth for so long, and there's not that much activity going on in the nation. It looks like as if it's dead. So, is it possible now that maybe Camel figured that out and they're like, well, we got to get these guys to log in to stop trying to force something? This would be something that would stop you from doing it because you're going to be giving away points if you don't log in?
No, because the nation itself will kill those people ahead of time. So that's kind of a non-factor.
Okay, I just wanted to clear the air. That question's been asked more than once, more than twice to me lately. So clear the air.
Well, I mean, one of two things are going to happen. One, it's going to be a non-event, and people will keep their little T4 Titan traps. Or two, these Titans are going to have very high point values. And that means that most nations are going to have a very long purge period. Some nations have 6 hours or 12 hours. In order to scan all the farms throughout your entire nation, you almost need 24 hours to do that.
Well, depending if it's been merged twice. If you've been merged twice, you might need longer than that.
Yeah.
What,
So,
for
I mean,
purges? Our purges are typically 48 hours.
Yeah, so you're good in 30. But a lot of these newer worlds, there's 6 hours, and that's not going to be enough time at all.
Yeah.
I got
6 hours?
6 hours, we get it
That's
done in
not
6.
that's not enough.
It is plenty. We get it done, man.
We had to do it in 2
Well,
hours.
for someone who has never purged, then yeah, it wouldn't be enough.
52 is 24/7. That's what their purge is.
Yeah.
24/7, 7 days out of the week.
No, our nation and a lot of these newer nations don't realize how good that they actually have it sometimes. But with the rules and stuff. But we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
One thing I'll add about that update, the second rule about not being able to deploy your Titans. So one of the things that we encountered recently when we clean up an alliance or we kill an alliance, a lot of the guys they'll just heal like 10 troops just to get the Titan trap going. And so I think this is part of that to alleviate that, I think.
Yeah, what's going to happen during or what players will need to do during cleanup on their farms is, you can send a full fleet to the hall, or not to the hall, to the Alliance fort. You can't really use the hall because not all your players can fit in there because it's got a limit. So you'll probably have to send the rest of your troops to the hospital.
Yeah, probably so.
I will add that I think this is a great change, right? I think it's kind of keeping in mind to eliminate the loophole, right? All the things that we kind of talked about. One of the things that would really help kind of make this a non-issue on the farms and cleaning headache, and I think some of the VIPs in our nation have reached out, and I urge other people to do the same, is that they need to add.
Sorry, Maddie, nobody can you're very low. If Jack can turn you up a bit more so everybody can hear you.
Let's see if I can do that.
I guess someone said that they can't hear you.
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
So one of the recommendations that would be really good for Camel to do would be, how you can turn off zombies on defense? They really, really need a turn off Titans on defense on the farms, right? And that needs to be an auto field, just like if you've never changed it, your zombies are automatically not defending. If they do that, that will actually solve the problem, right? So if they say, so I would recommend anybody that's listening to this and all of you guys to write to the VIPs and say you need to make turn off Titans to be an option.
That's a good one. That's a good point.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I'm going to do it after this.
Yeah, I agree. That would definitely help out the farmers and stuff. But think about this. If you lose your troops, never mind. Never mind. If you lose your troops, you're gonna end up getting more. And so if you heal your troops, they're gonna be right back there, or you're gonna do some speed recruits. Am I right?
Well, what it is once you kill your farm troops, do not log in. Just stay out of your farms until after the event.
Hide the hide. If they activated their Titans on the farm, they should hide them.
Say that one more time.
And like if somebody activated their Titans in their farm, they should hide them in the fort just in case.
Yeah. Well, the other issue though is the warplanes because you can have 5 of them, and depending on how high level your farm is, you've always got a warplane there.
Yeah.
Unless they activate it, it's the same thing if you activate your Titans.
Yeah, if they change that, if they do what Lumberg is suggesting, that would be beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see something like that coming down the pipe. All right. Any other thoughts on that? We're going to go ahead and get into nation rules. Nobody going once?
I guess we have to just see what when the actual update hits to see the actual what it's going to be.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is how many points are you going to get when you kill Titans, because that's going to either make it attractive to keep it going, like if it doesn't cost a lot of points, or if it does cost you a lot of points, then people are going to start dropping the Titan trap. So hopefully that does address the issue, because I've heard a lot of nations kind of go into that strategy where they fight with nothing but T4s and Titans, and have been somewhat successful. So, and not to say that that's a bad thing. I mean, strategy is strategy, and the rules are the rules. But if it kind of takes away from the spirit of the game, then it kind of makes more people quit than more people enjoy it. So,
Yeah,
Well, the VIPs have said that the points depend on the event, which is why they can't release how many points per Titan or per warplane. So I guess we could just request that they increase the points during Void and Battle Frenzy, because that's the only reason why we're going to have problems with farms. Chaos Land, I don't see it happening. Global Conquest, not really either. So they have to increase it for Void and Frenzy, basically.
yeah. And while we're on the topic of points and whether it's viable or not, while we're talking to VIPs, encourage them to please show the point values for attacks and defense, so we can actually know what's viable and what's not.
Yeah. Another thing I just thought about with these, obviously it's going to increase the activity in the kill events quite a bit, to the point where there's going to be a lot more open cities that are not bubbled because they are attacking. So I mean, this isn't exactly a bad thing. You know what I mean? Versus sitting 8 hours bubbled waiting for another bubble to drop. This might just bring the fun back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's gonna make people play the game as intended. You have a lot of people that just set Titan traps. They open all their chests and that's it. Now, if they want to get their chests, they've got to fight like normal.
good, real
Well,
good.
like some players said that they only did that because it's easier for the lower spending or free to play players to open boxes,
Yeah, well,
which I understand. That's fine, but like if the whole nation does it, where's the fun in Void?
I'm sorry, I'm a free player, and I don't think. Well, I mean, for me, it's like I like playing regardless. Like I save up, so I'm able to be participating in not every attack I can, but like at least few attacks. Like I don't know, I don't like just sit my city and let it get hit, or set my city as a trap. I mean, I don't know, but I'm a free player, so I don't. That's what to me. I'm like that doesn't. I think as a free player, the thing I would recommend is be active. Like be like save up your speeds, or you know what I mean. Like you want to like take advantage of these events so you could get some rewards from them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Especially if
that's
you're
why I
not
said it's
spending money.
fine. But like if the whole nation does it and everything you find is just T4 traps all day, I just think that would be like not fun at all.
Yeah, no.
I can contest to that. That it's boring, and it just gets you aggravated knowing that you're just wasted speeds on nothing.
Well, I think
Yeah, that
it's
happened to me this weekend. Actually, it's horrible.
I think it's just it's boring because we, after learning about speed attacks, we, like, how many of us actually spend time scouting cities? Most of the time we just, like, if someone's open, we just go ham. So Yeah, there's advantages and disadvantages to what they've done. So we just have to kind of navigate our way through it. Like as soon as they drop the point system for every event.
This
Yeah.
is going to be interesting.
Yeah,
Mm.
maybe for Frenzy, if we have an open city, we'll instead of scouting, we'll just hit it. But for Void, there are too many traps and too many smart players now that you've got to coordinate now. And I'm not saying that you do or don't scout. We typically do scout or speed scout, but it's I think the game has changed enough to where you can't just send that fleet and then attack and figure out if it's going to be a viable city or not. You've got to figure out, or at least game plan for it. But
Well,
I
you
think it
say
depends
that.
more which nation you're up against. Like if you're against a nation that just merged, then you're more likely to just find really like small group of
Fat
fat cities
cities.
around the whole map.
Yeah. Yep.
that's
But if
true.
you're in a nation that is more leaner, then that's when you probably have to like take out a little farm to scout around and find something.
Well, if you're like a mega whale, and I'm talking about these people over 400 million BP, I mean, this is going to make them just sit in hives and hit everything that's unshielded, hoping for any scrap of points. Now they kind of leave the T4 stuffs alone because it's an overall loss. But now they're just going to go ham.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
I mean, they have the gold for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, and that's kind of what they're built for. I mean, you
Yeah.
have so much BP because you're just going to wrecking ball everything. You just go in there and
Yeah.
just demolish everything, which is why you spend that money, I guess.
Yeah, but it's going to encourage more people to do that, I think. Whereas before, it wasn't really a viable option if you had a good team around you. But now, if you're going to get points for this, screw it. Just hit everything.
No, you're right, because I remember watching Ram do that so many times. He'd be sending 5 fleets out, hitting anything that walked until we figured out the whole T4 thing. And then he just stopped doing that because, he noticed that it was giving points away. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, like even these farms with with those planes, they're this is gonna be such a game changer. Like,
Yeah.
No,
hopefully so.
it's fantastic, and we'll
It really
adjust
is.
to it.
Yeah, and I don't know. Every nation is going to be different with the rules, which I'm sure Simple Jack will be talking more about. But there's going to be some more stricter rules, more crying in nation chats, and yeah, this is going to be interesting.
It's definitely Camel's way of addressing the T4 and below troop point system because we've asked so many times to like change that and place some points for T1 to T4, but they haven't. So they probably said, yeah, we're kind of tired of hearing all of that. So we'll just go Titans and Warplanes and leave T4 and down still without any points. So
Yeah, I think it's a very creative solution and one that I actually didn't think of.
Yeah.
well, Warplanes just came in a month? I think a month ago.
Yep.
Has been a month. Yeah.
Yeah, about a month. Yeah, so this is probably the big idea behind the planes. This was
Probably.
probably going to happen months ago. They just now putting an implement.
Okay. All right, guys. So it sounds like one of the biggest things we need to do is we need to wait for the point totals, right, to see exactly how many points you get for these, and that's only going to happen until after Battle Frenzy.
Yeah, and they will release it for each event. So every event will be different.
Yep. So
Oh, wow.
we'll await this, but overall, it looks like it's a good update. It's a positive move for Camel to try to address an issue that's kind of affecting more of the core players versus the fringe players that just do the Titan traps just as a quirky strategy. So
I'm going to share a couple of more thoughts. I don't want to be
Sure.
a negative Nelly, but I think there's some key problems with the implementation of something that's not well thought out, right? So the first thing is if the points on the color of the Titan is the same regardless. This is very
Yeah.
bad, right? So if you have a green Titan and it's the same as an orange Titan, what that effectively does is it does nothing to stop T4 traps, because the people that will have orange Titans, I don't know why they would send a T4 trap, but we know it happens. And it happens because it's essentially cheating, right? You send something while bubbled and reinforce somebody with gold Titans and T4 troops, you have zero chance of losing anything. And you gain points, right? You're going to gain a lot of points. And that is effectively cheating. Some nations may take that. And I think that's this strategy to apply this is absolutely brilliant, except if they do something that is absolutely nonsensical, which is saying a green Titan will get the same points as an orange Titan. Because if that happens, that means it does nothing to prevent the T4 traps. And all it does is create more nightmare for you to then go hunt every single farm that ever started a green Titan.
So I've kind of questioned my VIP, and that is what they've said. Regardless of color, regardless of level, it will be the same points.
Ouch.
Yeah,
Ouch.
that's not good. That's not good.
That's what they've said. So what they've said was any level of Titan, as long as it's a Titan, it could be blue, purple, orange. It's still the same points. Same as warplanes. If you're a solo attacker, you get all the points. If it's a group attack, it gets divvied up between all the attackers. That's what
I'm
they've said.
wondering, do they give you points by how many Titans are coming in and you're destroying? Or are they all of them become into one Titan and that's the points you get?
I think that will be like how regular team attacks will be. Like Maddie was touching on a couple podcasts ago. Once your Titan comes in, the strongest comes in, and then everyone else's Titan's not there. Correct me if I'm wrong, Maddie. Isn't that like how team attacks work? Or
Wait, say that one more time.
sorry, I probably confused everyone. Like when you're doing a team attack, and everyone's sending their own Titans in there, doesn't the strongest Titan take the lead?
To an extent. If you have very strong Titans and then you have a bunch of weak Titans coming in, like I mean, if you've got 5 orange and 5 green, the green are better off not sending their Titans due to the way the 3 best skills work, because it averages them down. So, but there are certain things that are cumulative. So once the Titans arrive, the attack, the HP, and the defense stack into one big thing, and it adds up. But the most important stuff is actually averaged down. So it's a weird situation on how they do it.
So the ones that have an information button with the skills for Titans, that's the one that becomes what Maddie said. And then
Yes.
the individual skills that don't have the information button, then that's the one that accumulates depending on how many attackers or defenders there are. If that makes sense.
And
Does that make sense?
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Yeah, yes and no. Yeah. So,
well, I think maybe the first couple of kill events that this is in there. I think after that there'll be some kind of balancing once Camel knows what's going to really happen. Because they don't know what's really going to happen. They're just sending this out there, as a project or as an experiment for us to test it out, and we're going to test it out for them. So I think there will be some balancing after a couple kill events.
we'll see when the rules come out tomorrow.
Yeah, this will be good. This will be real good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you guys know who you're up against in Frenzy?
Sorry?
Do you guys know who you're up against for Frenzy?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we got 33.
33?
We have 431.
You want to Swiss, Jack?
Who do you have?
219 again.
I saw your video.
Get to see my besties.
I don't know anything about 219, but I just know that they're strong.
219 is
We're gonna have a
DSM
great time.
there. Yeah. Yeah, Mary. Yep.
We're gonna have a great time. I'm
Yep.
sure.
Awesome.
Self-confidence.
I will root for both
If
of
they
you.
do a time attack with us, it'll be nice, you know? Gonna have so much
Hey,
fun.
hey, I've arranged a time attack with 219 before, so that can be arranged.
209 will do it.
Uh,
219 is I don't know, they don't like us.
okay.
All right, so we had Mumra in chat that just said he doesn't think it's a big deal. Just send Titans to Fort, but most farms are, unless you're in an older world, are T23 and below. So you can only send one Titan to the Fort. Then you've also got the 2 or 3 warplanes you have to consider.
And it's also, people also got to consider is that the people that are watching this, you know, from the newer nations, are not like the older nations that we're in, to where, you know, we know what's going on, to where they don't. You know, we got to
Well-
always refer to the newer nations versus how the older nations work, because it's a 2 different worlds.
Oh, it absolutely is. But one thing I will say is if you're new and you've got farms, do not activate anything other than your first warplane, or you just make your life a little bit harder.
There is a way to get a farm and not activate the plane at all. I don't know how, but I will say that there was a
Really?
city. Yeah, there was a city that I got in 52 that the warplanes were not activated, but my big dumb, you know what, activated it. I activated it.
Uh-huh. On live stream, you activated it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no.
No, it's
You got
fine
too excited.
if you activate one, that's fine. You can send it away with one Titan, but don't do more than one.
It's hard not to, because when they initially come out, it makes you click automatically on the things, and it doesn't want you to exit
It,
until you click the damn thing. So it's like,
it doesn't make you, it entices you by putting a little
glowy
notification
button.
on. Yes. So
Yeah.
you have to do the first one when you log in, I do believe.
Yeah, you
And
definitely do.
But the second one is optional.
This is one of my pet peeves. It's just bad coding, right? So even if you do the first one, every time you log in from a different login method, like whether it be Facebook versus iTunes or Google Play, it forces you to go through that dumb tutorial, right? And
Yep.
so this is absolutely, you could easily do it twice because I've been locked into it. Even after I opened it, it forces me to go through, and you can't click out of it until you upgrade that warplane. So forget about even just unlocking it. It forces you to go through that whole thing. Only way you can do it is if you exit out of the game and then come back and somehow not be forced to upgrade it. So it's, overall bad coding.
Yeah, so I tested that out a little bit on the male Titan on a new
course.
city, and eventually it will make you go back into there. I can't make there's no method to the madness, but eventually it makes you go back and click on that damn thing.
Facts. And I think that's what happened to me in the live stream.
It always does. It's just, yeah.
Cool. All right, guys.
I'm
Okay,
going to
so
say one thing.
we
If
have
anyone
we have one question.
Sure.
All right, yours asking if your farms have all T4 or less units, just rain flags with only units and no Titans/warplanes, and leave the city only with the Titans/warplanes in it. Did anybody
That is,
understand that?
I did
yes.
not catch that.
No,
So so what happens when you send troops to flags is if you do not, if you win or lose, your troops that are still in the flag stay in the flag. So your Titans will always stay in the flags. Unless they keep hitting it over and over and over again, then eventually I think they get sent home.
Huh? Really?
Yeah.
Well,
But she said
they
you don't
die.
have to send them. Like send troops like T4s to the flag, but do not send the Titans or the warplane. Just leave them at home.
Well,
Oh,
but the other
so
the other
hide
problem
your T4?
that would work in Frenzy, but the problem in Void is that flags, even on defense, are treated as attacks. So you're gonna still lose units. Yeah, you can hide them way out, but if they get hit, you're gonna lose units.
Hmm.
I think it's a brilliant suggestion. The only drawback would be
Losing the T4s.
if your troops come back home and your Titans are home and more than 5,000 come home.
Yeah.
ET, go home.
But I think
Sorry,
that's a
I
great
had to.
suggestion.
I got you, man.
No, it was definitely it was brought up in our world as well, and I thought through it, and I'm like, you know what, I don't like people hiding stuff in flags, so let's just not make that a thing.
Well, the problem is that sometimes there's a lot of these people that have these farms, they have 5 full fleets, and you can only hide 2 fleets. So actually, let's just say 1 fleet, and that's in the fort because usually the hull is going to be full. So it's either you bubble and you're spending more money, and let's say you have 30, or let's just say you have 10 farms, and it costs what, $5 a bubble for 1 day. You do the math. Each and every other week, having to do that stuff adds up fast.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's why people hide them in the flags.
Well, and another thing too is, a lot of nations have rules, which we'll talk about in a minute, where farms cannot gather gold. Now it may make sense for farms to gather gold.
I agree.
If you have a bank farm that kind of holds all the rest of your farm's resources, you need to shield that one.
Yeah. I agree. I mean,
That's true. But once you open that gate, though, then your fighters and your alliances that actually battle aren't going to you're going to lose opportunities to gather gold for them.
No, absolutely. It's just we got to think like the farmers sometimes, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yo, we're thinking about the farmers, all right.
We are. Speaking of farmers, why don't we get into the rules?
All right, guys. Yeah. So let's talk about the rules, and I'll say that again.
Oh, you guys called me? I heard farmers.
We were talking about farmers, and then you said you called me. Oh, that was awesome.
So let me preface this, right? So nation rules essentially, like when a nation is born, you're kind of getting your sea legs, right? You're kind of growing. You're learning how to build alliances. You're learning how to fight. You're not even in cross nation events or anything like that. In my opinion, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, nation rules come about to make your world as competitive as possible for cross nation events. That's the sole purpose of every world. If your world's not even in cross nation events, that means you're still graduating up to that point. So I don't know what kind of nation rules you're going to have back then or for that kind of world, but once you hit cross nation events, every nation should have their own set of rules to guide their nation. And I think the first thing that every nation should do is decide, what are you guys going to compete in? Are you going to be void only? Are you going to be all events? Are you just going to be no kill events? That's going to kind of affect how you do things. And obviously there's going to be a lot of fights on that, just from the alliances alone. But that's kind of the first thing you need to determine. But just say your nation decides we want to be competitive in every event, then that's when you guys kind of sculpt exactly how, depending on the size of your nation, you should kind of regulate your nation. And I think Lumber, you're going through this right now, so it's probably fresh in your mind. You want to start with your nation rules?
I'm sure, but we might take too long. So, because I think it was 4 or 5 phone screens is where we had nation rules, and somebody had the great idea to have me type it up, and I am not known for my brevity. So, but yeah, I'll cover it. So we just went through a merger yesterday. We're still into it. We had a little bit of time, and this is probably a good time to have a merger because first thing we're having is Frenzy, and Void is in a month, so that gives us a little bit of time to kind of sort things out. Sometimes you have a lot of time and notice, and sometimes you don't. But one of the first things you want to do in setting nation rules is to get the leaders in one room, and we've talked about that before. What are some of those apps that you're going to use? I am a new believer in Viber, and because it has that translate feature, and everybody can kind of access it. Woody gave some great advice last time, which we actually used. When you set up that room,
that was
have
good
somebody
advice.
set it up to hide people's numbers. And
Very
so
good
the first
advice.
step. Sorry, go ahead.
Nothing. Go ahead. Sorry.
And so the first thing you want to really do is to kind of get a sense for where was the nation rules, before you come to the table, and that will kind of help you guide it, and be ready to do the negotiations and find what it is. And I think you've summed it up pretty well, which is first thing really to make the rules productive is to really decide on the priority of your events, because that really does drive it, right? So how strict you set the Void rules. If you really care about Void, you can kind of give the farmers some slack in how you set Frenzy. So I'll talk about our nation rules. We decided that our two top events were Void and GC, and that allowed us to be a less strict on Frenzy, which meant that we designated battle alliances which are going to be fighting and allowed to fight in Void, and then academies or fun alliances that are not really allowed to. So setting nation rules really is important to set the criteria of your priority of events, and also B, who is allowed to fight when, what's the cleaning schedule. So a comprehensive set of nation rules includes all of that. Who's the battle nation, who's the battle alliance, who's the academy, and then what is everybody else doing. So this level of troops, the priorities, who can fight when, and what they need to do, and what the cleaning schedule is.
Yeah, let me add something real quick to that too, because this is something that our world's having a problem with. It's easy to establish that kind of benchmark that Lemberg was talking about, but where you really are going to have an issue is, okay, so you talked about battle alliances. Well, what are you going to have? 2, 3, 4? Our world has like 4 right now. We could probably do 3, maybe even 2 now. I mean, that's the way that our world's working right now, where it's kind of shrinking. And that's where you're going to run into problems, because you're pushing people to say, hey, you're not relevant anymore. You got to merge. You got to do this. You got to do that. And that's where all the fighting starts. So establishing the benchmark is key, and it's fairly straightforward. But then getting people to get on board with it, that's the hard part.
Yeah,
Mm.
I'm actually
Mhm.
going through that right now in 330.
Well, I
Where
mean,
we are there's not many of us left, and so I think at this time we are supposed to. Well, I believe we should have two alliance, or combine each other, because we have really good players, really great players, actually very strong, but we are literally spread out in different alliances, and our egos are getting in the way, and we're not coming in, we're not putting our heads together for the good of our nation. We're just kind of putting our pride and our emotions in between it, and it's really getting to a point where it's we're just spread out. We don't have one winning alliance. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
One
Mm.
strong alliance.
egos are a big thing in this game. When you merge, you got to drop your egos at the door. You got to have a clean slate, and just even the people in your own nation that you had a problem with, just give them another chance until they screw up. I mean,
they will.
It's bound to happen anyway. Yes.
Yeah, they will screw up.
yeah. If they're a perpetual screw upper, then it's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
I also agree on that part too, because one of our really good members, he didn't shield this past Void. I mean, we had to kick him out and zero him before Void started. And I mean, you just got to do. There's times where you have to do that in order to make your or provide the best for your nation, pretty much.
So
Yeah.
Well,
the
yeah.
best way I've figured out to figure out how to figure out who is relevant for Void is look at the kills. I mean, it's numbers don't lie. If their kills are high, they're relevant.
No,
the
you
No,
you look at you look
no.
at the rankings. You look at the rankings aside from people that just defend and drop stuff.
I
Well,
just say no to the kills because there are people out there who have the time of the world to just kill T1s just to show that, oh, I'm a killer and here's all my kills. When in reality it's just a bunch of T1s kills.
well, yeah, I mean, you guys are pretty much gonna know who they are. But like we have
Would you,
C38s and 373 that are literally only got like 24 million kills, and they're a C38. It's like they're not
yeah,
relevant.
on that
My
topic,
dude,
I would kill
okay.
them. I would kill them.
Oh, we want to so bad.
No, I would
the
just
rank
do it.
the,
They got like
the guy
80 million BP. It's like, what are you doing? What are
No,
you
you
doing?
kill them. Like I'm not even playing. Like
no lie, the guy
Oh
from World
goodness.
2 who's like top 1 rank at killing is not all kills of his or, from Void. It could
For,
be some, but majority is not. There's rumors or people have confirmed that all he does is kill his farms that are T1s, and that's why
yeah,
he's that number 1 rank in killings
Oh,
and
Awesome.
if you go to our rank.
for me, it's I have like semi okay kills, but it's I usually join like with attacks and stuff, and sometimes I'll be doing the mode like going in every attack. I save up my speeds. I'm in every attack, but my fleet is small. I actually have not focused too much on my size of my fleet. So when I look at the reports, I'm one of the players that gets the less kills out of everybody.
Can I suggest something for you?
focus on fleet.
Well, not only focus on fleet size, but I mean, if you know you're going to be that less person or the weaker person, and I know no one wants to hear this because it's a big
Yep,
no.
that's
Send
that's
all
where
back row. Send all back
I'm
row.
focusing on now. I'm like now I'm realizing like I started realize little by little. But I mean, like I say, I'm not a full spender, so I kind of focus where to put my money for certain months. You know what I mean? Or
Right. But
so I can keep up. I mean, I'm able to keep up with my world and events, so I'm all right. But I just noticed that I do need to work on my fleet
Yeah.
size for sure.
All right,
No.
so I'm not known for my brevity either. Just so everyone is aware. And I wrote a furious nation chat post about why we have rules.
Oh.
Oh
I'm
my.
You
Oh.
should
I
screen
did.
share.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, you
It's
should screen share.
I'm not gonna
Screen share.
I'm not gonna screen share it, but I'm gonna hit the high points just so people understand why we do what we do.
Chat's
Right.
telling you to read it. Chat is telling you to read
Read
it.
it.
I'm not gonna
Go
I'm not
ahead.
gonna read the whole thing. Yours already read it. So is Mumra. All right, but anyway, in the most basic terms, the rules are designed so that spinners and non-spinners, fighters and non-fighters, hardcore and casual players can coexist in one nation, right? The rules embody the minimum amount of effort that players need to put forth in order to play the game. They include shielding, managing farms, being a certain city level by a certain date, protecting yourself, fighting safely, blah, 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 blah. They also prevent chaos in your nation. Are they there so the top players can control the weaker nations? Absolutely not. We don't wake up in the morning and think of reasons to piss off or control other people. We don't even want to set rules, honestly, right? We just wish everybody magically knew how to play the game, but that's not the case. So we've got to have these rules. And we honestly dread implementing them. Whoever's going to implement the rules is going to be called a tyrant. They're going to be called names, dictator, Nazi, Hitler, blah, blah, blah.
Well, no,
Right?
and the worst part
Oh no,
about
it's
that
not
too
yes.
is not just implementation, but it's enforcement too, right? Because what happens is you got 5 different situations where some people break the rules, others don't, but it's never enforced equally, and so you get ragged all the time. And it's like, look, guys,
Yeah.
it costs
Mhm.
money, it takes time, and it takes effort to enforce the rules on people that don't follow them. And it's just, like you just said, we don't want to have to make rules, but not everybody understands the easiest, most inexpensive way to play this game. And that's why we have the rules. So yeah, it drives me nuts, dude. Trust me.
No, I
No, I
know.
think I think we can all agree rules are there to protect the players, all the players, from themselves and from others, but it also protects you from having a dictator.
Well,
You
yeah,
know, it
I'm
goes
about
both ways.
25% done with my rant, by the way.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry, Maddie D. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm skimming this down a little bit, while people did not know that Age of Origins was a pay to win game when they started playing, and they probably were looking for a tower defense game while sitting on the toilet, and they definitely regret sitting down for that fateful shit that day. But that's that's neither here nor there. You realized it was a pay to win game,
weekend.
after a weekend, a month in. I mean, if you pay the slightest bit of attention, right, you chose to continue down this path, and after a year or 3 years in the game, we expect people to understand what's going on, right? And there's a huge social aspect of it, especially the longer you play. You make friends, but at the end of the day, it is a war strategy game.
Yep.
And it is a war strategy game that is in fact pay to win.
Wait a minute.
Let's not get that
I
twisted.
think for us in 330, it's like it's play to like we get a really nice satisfaction that we don't spend money, and we are keeping up with some of these strong alliances,
Yeah.
being able to fight back to these strong alliances. We might not win it, but we were it's like it's a satisfaction of like, hey, we didn't have to spend like a lot of money, and look, like we're keeping up, like we got it. We almost had it, but it's because they're they got money, they're spending, but we're not. So our mentality is like a satisfaction of being a free player and being able to keep up at the same time with them. We're not here to like gloat and be like, oh, we're number. We just like playing. We really just love like fighting. It's a war game, so we just like fighting.
Wait a minute. You mean to tell me this is not a dating app?
It's not Tinder.
No, not anymore. That was the beginning.
That was
All right.
great.
Back in 2019.
All right, I'm still 50% done, guys.
All right, let's hear it. Go ahead.
All right,
All right,
guys,
all
let
right.
Maddie finish.
So like Lombard, said, you got to figure out what your nation's goal is. My nation's goal is to win events, to win all events. That's just how we play. The top players and spenders exert the most amount of time, energy, and money to win. And if you doubt that, then I don't even know what to tell you. If people are directly conflicting with that goal of winning, that is a huge problem. That's when these rules start to materialize just out of a basic need to win and minimize the bleeding. And the rules impact the top players just like they impact the lower level players, simply because we have to make them universally applicable, right? We try to make it fit the mold 99.9% of the time. And we don't make exceptions to the rules, except in very super rare cases. V-time, I know, great one's an exception. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave that little note out of that. But people don't realize the rules actually protect the small players from the big players. Like that's the thing.
That's true.
That is true.
It protects them so much, right? All they have to do is adhere to the minimum requirements to play in the nation, and the strong players will ignore them and let them go about their business. We don't care. You've got T4 troops, whatever. You do you. We don't care.
Yep.
Weak players have a right to play the game, but strong players have a right to destroy them. We could all do whatever we want without rules, and it would be pure chaos. It would be, 3 players surviving in a dead world. It's the same concept in real life as well, right? We've got a government, we've got rules. Some of it is a little bit ridiculous, but most of it is to protect people, right? And if you have an issue with rules, then you got to ask yourself, do I really know how to play the game? Do I really understand the core concepts, right? It's the people that are low level that just think they can do whatever that have the most issue with the rules. If they sit down and think about it, we're protecting them. We're telling them, we're teaching them how to play through these rules, right? And if you're not grasping these little simple ideas after a year or 3 years, then I'm sorry, you're better off playing another game. And if you're a non-spender at your first world, you're better off using the knowledge that you learned in your first world, moving on to another world, and building a better city much faster with all that knowledge, right?
I tell you what, the number one thing that I see in Nation Chat for say when someone breaks the rules is you guys just did it because you need our resources. And it's like they don't think like we are maxed.
Yeah.
We can't even add any more resources. And they're like, oh, you just keep hitting us because of resources. No, we're hitting you because we don't want you to heal those troops we just killed.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want you bleeding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no. If you're not willing to put in the minimum amount of effort to play the game, we don't want you to play. I mean, that may sound harsh, but that's the reality.
No, that's
You
such
know?
100%. Yes.
Go to a new nation where till you get to your first void and then start a new nation.
Well, no. What's going to happen is all nations are going to have the same basic concept of rules. They may deviate a little bit here and there, but for the most part, if a nation wants to be competitive, they're going to have the same rules. They may skate by for a year and a half, 2 years, but once they merge, there's going to be one nation out of those three that's going to put the smackdown on them. So they need to get with the program early. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, Nikki, did that happen in 52?
What happened?
That once you guys got merged, I know I'm new there. Once you got merged, you guys put the smackdown on the other people.
Alright. So I didn't join 52 until probably a month after the merge. But from what I saw, 68 and 87 really wanted to merge with 52 and really wanted to become one with ED1. So they all got together to create ED1, Hub, and then Zoo and Core. Was it called Con? Con? Yeah, Con. So Zoo, Con, and Core and Con are three alliances that were for those players that are like more casual or rarely played like all the time. So that was more for the casuals or the weaker city, I guess.
Okay.
And then the main rule that I remember Sayas posting was farms can only have 4,000 BP or not 4 billion PP. I'm not sure, 4 million. So if a farm had too much, like if the BP was too high for the said level of the farm, that city needed to be killed off. So he told everybody, kill the troops, lower it down because we don't want no fat farms. And in the beginning, some people were not listening. Some people did listen, and I guess they started purging around to those who did not listen. But I'm sure he sent out warnings, and they told everybody like, "Hey, kill those extra troops. Like, you don't need to have a fat farm."
Mm.
So that's what I remember from the beginning.
So what was everybody crying about? So when you implemented that and everybody was crying about getting their troops killed, what were they saying? Why did they say they needed those troops?
My God, why do they need the troops? What? That's what we ask everybody. Why do you need so many troops on a farm?
They
And
they
people
don't
still do it. People still do it.
they don't know why they need those troops. All they know is that you set them back 6 months or a year worth of effort. That's all they know.
For one, people think they need so many just to farm faster. In
No,
reality,
some
you don't need that many to farm
people
faster.
still.
No, that's not how it works.
No, some
Second of
people
all,
actually.
Ashley,
No, some people actually treat their farms as a main. They still play them as
that
a main,
oh my
which means
God.
that they do Elite Wars, they do Doom Arena, they do Zoo,
Yes.
they do everything in their farms.
This takes
Come
me
on
back to
now.
2 years. 2 years
Exactly.
ago,
They
people
still do
treated
that.
their farms more of a main than a farm, and their
Yep.
main was a farm. It was ridiculous. I guess
Yep.
it becomes ridiculous.
Well,
Some people are like that.
it made sense before this most recent change, right? Because I encouraged people to actually do Medici and some of the things on their farms to make better Titan traps on their farms. Now that's irrelevant.
Yeah. Like either way, people like to have fat forms. And nobody likes for you to kill the fat
No,
form for no reasons at all. Even if you tell them why, they don't care.
yeah, and if anybody wants to, like, as far as farm BP rules, you, in my opinion, and this is just me, is I think it should be your city level times 100,000. So if you're a C26 farm, you should not have over 2.6 million BP. You don't need more than 300,000 troops if you use all T1 or T3 tanks. I mean, that's all you need. They carry the most load for low levels, and you can send 5 fleets to elite mines with 300,000 units.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So across the board,
you're still better off with T4s anyways. Just T4 for farming. Kill zombies with T4. Can you kill zombies with T4?
No,
No, right? No?
D-
Oh.
You can
What-
try.
you can try, but I converted my whole nation to T2, T1, T2.
I don't know. I don't have a farm. I only have one city. That's it.
You're an
Yeah.
overachiever, man.
so across
I'm
the
not-
board, do you guys have a city limit? Like if you're C31 or below, you're a farm, no questions.
Yeah,
What is yours?
No.
That's yes.
373. Matter of fact, today in 373, if you're not a C31, it needs to be T4 only, or else you're being burned.
Unfortunately, in 52, everything is dead currently. So for us, if it's fat and it doesn't contribute and it only bleeds in frenzy, we kill it when it's bubble drop. That's it. Doesn't matter what level. It just kill it.
It's bye.
52 is ruthless, man.
Until we get a merge, maybe rules will be different.
You're
but right
not
now,
gonna get a merge anytime soon.
shut up, Maddie.
He's jinxing it.
No, you guys are
Stop rubbing salt in my wounds.
you guys are in the top weight class, 30, 52. Those,
We are
two.
skinnier than 30.
It doesn't matter. You still compete at that weight
That's the
class.
sad part.
If you were to merge, then it would require all of those other nations to merge as well to compete.
Might as well.
I tell you what, as I'm looking at 52, there's so many cities in this nation. Like, there's a lot. And I'm pretty sure in 30, Simple Jack can say the same thing. Like, I don't think there's enough room in the nation to have another merge.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, we tried to poll with Camel to try to get rid of some of these. I mean, before our last merge, we tried to say, hey, anything C20 or below, don't even bring it over. But it's just not happening. So,
Well,
Yeah,
I heard a little trick. I'm not going to say it's true or false. If you're getting merged, any city that's not been logged into for 6 months, I think it was, doesn't follow.
not true.
Oh, really?
That's just what I heard. I have no proof or facts to back that up. That's just what I heard.
No.
That's very doubtful because they have this package that entices you to actually go into that base because when you go in, you get ta-da!
You get a free
We're
teleport.
happy you're back. Exactly.
Yeah.
No,
So-
no. I have a city that was the strongest city in our nation starting out, and they have not logged in at least 8 months, and it's still sitting there with its purple titans and a magical city. I mean,
Does it get hit?
no, it's been emptied for months, but it's still there. And she was an interesting character. She was our bipolar little ninja.
I love that you said that.
Oh,
That
no,
is
you
a-
see me in 390.
No, she was freaking crazy, dude.
You remember me, Woody, in 390?
Oh, I completely
I was a
remember
little
you.
bipolar firecracker. Don't mess with me.
So
I'm still
See,
kind of.
the only way that cities actually get banned by Camel before was when they got reported as a bot farm. and then you get banned for, I don't know, 365 years plus days plus, I don't know, whatever.
What
And
did you
that's the only
call it?
way. Sorry,
What did you call it?
a bot farm.
Oh, I thought you said something
Yeah.
else.
What's funny about bot farms is if they get banned and they're still in an alliance, you can still see their city when you zoom out on the map, but when you zoom in, it's not there. It's weird.
That's true. Yep.
All right, so just to try to rein this in, can we kind of all nations have the same semblance of the probably 5 or 6 main rules. Can we kind of talk about each one and maybe what the different variations are on them?
Okay.
I mean, obviously the first one is farms and troops and BP, right? How do you guys manage your farms?
By not having one.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah. I have only one. I have 3, but I don't even use the other 3. I just have them empty, and I keep them like they're empty. They don't have resources, so they could scout them, they could hit them, or anything. They won't get anything out of them. Now with the new rule, I might just end up logging in, and honestly, I don't even know how to get rid of this Titans because I don't even like logging into those farms. I have one farm and I keep it. I follow the rules, so I keep it under 3 million BP. And if I have resources in there, I'll empty them out before any voids. And if I don't get time, then I'll definitely bubble it up. It's just staying on top of your stuff. Like if you're playing this game longer than 2 years, you should already know what is expected for voids every 2 weeks.
If you're
but
playing,
is the general consensus farms are only allowed T4 and lower troops?
Yeah, no,
Yes.
or in 330
Yeah.
and 333. We don't
Yeah.
even use T4.
Well, in the newer worlds, they allow some of them try to get away with allowing farms to be quote unquote battle farms, and it
Yep.
Battle
no
farm.
no it works
I've heard of
really
them.
it works really good early on because you actually get more resources from killing monsters than you do. But at the end of the day, it's going to all, funnel down to T4 because you're going to be fighting those cross nation events. And if you've got 5 farms and one main city, you're going to burn yourself out trying to be a 5 battle farms plus your main,
Dude, I know people who was one main and what 20 or 40 farms
I know
back
of
in my
someone who has.
day.
No.
Yeah, no, back when I started it, I know of someone who has one main and 50 farms.
Yeah.
If
Yep.
you have 5 good farms, you can bring in anywhere between 10 and 14 million minerals a week.
Is
I
there
mean-
still, like, when you get into an older world, and I say this because I don't use farms or whatever. From what I understand, you get uranium locked to where it takes you so long to get uranium that you're going to accumulate the resources anyway. You don't really need farms. Is that
That's
true?
Yep,
That's true.
that is true.
that's
Um,
what I was gonna say. I have now I have 10 farms, because I gave 20 of them away. I haven't even logged into them in 3 months.
Yeah.
So it's true and it's not true. The average player is going to get uranium locked. But these newer worlds just have these spenders, and it's not just the whales. It's I'll include myself, and I'm a low level dolphin / peon here. But when you're trying to do research, you're trying to do your upgrades, you're buying uranium. Steel and minerals are a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Hey, Maddie, I hate
Maddie?
to cut you off. There's someone in chat asking to post one of your Google Docs in the chat. I don't know if he wants access or permission to do so.
I mean, I don't care. He has all my rules. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that'd be something you might want to answer.
Yeah, go for it, man. I don't give a shit.
So I'll run over my rules real quick. In World 30, in this, it worked okay in the beginning, but we were able to muscle a lot. And now that things have changed, it's probably not the best model to follow. But when we first were merged, we legit had 4 alliances that were all strong. I mean, they could all 4 of them could carry a nation, and each main alliance had an academy. Some had 2, which is a joke, but anyways, everything else outside of that, 4 mains and then their academies, everything else is T3 or lower. That's just it. That was it. That's our rule. You can keep a fleet for whatever, elite or to kill stuff, but you have to keep it hidden at all times. If it's ever exposed, you can be killed or purged. So that's our rule, and that's where we enforce it here and not there, and people start crying and stuff. So I would much rather have C31 and below, you're just a farm. I don't care, or 52's, not 52's rule, but somebody's rule where it's like if you're a C26, then you can have no more than 2.6 million, because our rules kind of worked well. I mean, it forced people to want to be in the academies or the mains, pushing them up. And for a while it worked well, but now it's kind of coming back to bite us.
All right, so we've got somebody that's posting my rules in chat, and I just want to preface my rules. Like I said, I'm not known for my brevity, but people ask so many dang questions. I would love to have a one-line rule to cover it, but I know what questions are coming. So one rule turns into 2 pages, and I try to slow roll them out so everybody's not hit with everything all at once. We just merged a month ago, so I've been doing like 1 rule a week.
Oh my god.
That's good.
No, I mean, I'm just being honest. I mean, I'm trying
How
to
are you not burned out?
I'm trying to head it off at the pass, but I still get 200 messages a day from 200 different people.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I'm about to make a rule. If you send me a message, I will burn you.
Who else wants to go over the rules? I know we've got kind of 52 covered. 330 or 425.
Do we even have rules?
Kitschy?
425 is the same. T4 and below. We still have to evaluate what's going to happen with the new Titans and Warplane point system when
but
it
T4 and
gets
below
released
for who?
tomorrow.
I mean,
For
how many main alliances do you have?
We had this is the fun thing about 425. We had a competition last void to have our top 7 go down to top 6 alliances.
Wow.
Yeah. So what happens is we basically said, okay, top 1 and top 2 is a given. Top 3 is an open spot, which means that their territory of buildings and everything goes to the alliance that actually gets number 3 spot in void. So it was a competition. So basically 6 and 7 merged into 6, and then 3 and 4 swapped territory, and that made sure that people actually joined void.
So how do you with nations that have more than 3 alliances, how do you handle capital rotations?
We do prestige, right? So if you're low on prestige, you're the 4th man out. You don't get it.
Yeah, that makes absolute perfect sense. Prestige is a really good indicator of activity, honestly.
Yeah.
So let me ask a question for everyone here with these rules. Like, I know we're all saying with these rules is to keep them safe, to lower people, non-spenders, farms, but wouldn't we, if you're a fighting nation, and wouldn't you rather just not have them in your nation?
No, the easiest thing to
I'm
do.
sorry I said that.
No. The easiest thing to do is for the top players to just murder everybody. I mean, that is the easiest thing to do. But we know there are social relationships. We know that people, have friends. So we're giving them the opportunity to coexist with us. I mean, that's
You
the
know, Maddie,
bottom
there's a
line.
way much easier thing.
What is
Just
Murder
have,
them.
just have, no. Just have them have an all out war with each other. Let them kill each other, and then you just watch from behind.
Well, so I did that one time, but
That's much fun.
so yeah, pre-merger, we told one alliance, you know what? If you want the governor, the 3 and 4, just fight it out.
Yeah.
They both back down.
Of course they do. They're afraid to lose troops.
Exactly.
That's the biggest thing. That my biggest pet peeve. Troops are made to
die.
They're made to
They-
die.
They are made
Yeah.
to die, but you have to realize that free-to-play players losing a lot of troops is a lot more impactful to them than it is for people that spend even a little bit.
I actually don't mind killing troops, and I actually I also have a small fleet, have small army units. Like, I mean, if I expand, just regular expand, I could hide in 3 fleets and have 2. Like, if I decide to scout, but we hardly scout. But if I was to decide to scout, I have 2 guys.
Yeah, but when does it?
I don't like pumping out troops. I don't like having a lot of troops in my city.
Oh, and that's the thing. But a lot of these free to play players is
Maybe I'm just a weird free player.
No,
I don't know.
you're
No,
not.
no, no,
You're
no.
doing it the right way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
a
Yeah.
lot. A lot of these free to play players, they'll grab more troops than they can hide, and that's when things become a problem. And like, if they have troops that they can hide, if they get hit, smacked, that's no problem. But if they can't hide those troops, now it's a problem.
Yeah, well, I'm going to use a prime example. Pre-merger, I had a player that was a C-29. He had 22 billion BP. That was like 6 or 7 fleets for this guy. He insisted he wanted to go to the other world and fight. Like, no. No. And it kind of brings me to one of the other rules I just implemented yesterday. And it is players have a max BP. Anybody C30 to C33 is 20 million BP. C34 to C36 is I think 30 million BP or something, but
It should be around 35, right around there.
well, it depends if they're mid range or long range. I mean, there's some caveats to the whole deal, but even in my own alliance, I have players that are kind of whining. It's like, oh, I've got to get rid of these troops. I'm like, well, your troops are pretty useless against the nations we're fighting against. I'm sorry, buddy. And
Flex,
and
go
it's
ahead.
just bad. No, you go.
I'm gonna say Flex posted something in the chat. He said, farmers are undervalued. I appreciate farmers having a bad day, low on morale. Crack a farmer, instant gratification. You instantly feel better about yourself.
That's
Oh
good.
God, we love you, Flex.
God.
Flex, do you have to pop Aeon shield so they don't kill one shredder?
Oh, that's good. That was good.
Oh man.
Farmers. The thing about it is the big players could not really coexist without the farmers. They provide some entertainment value in nation chat, and then there's just the social aspect. So it's a delicate balance, but you got to get rid of the really bad people. You got to get rid of the problem children.
You ever watch
That's so
farmers?
hard to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
You ever watch farmers
Yeah.
arguing it out on Nation Chat?
Have
In
you
3
met
years from
my
now, they're
bleeders?
putting all the
So
all
so
the
I'm
players
gonna say
in
this, and you
chat.
guys are not allowed to steal this idea. I'm gonna say it.
Notes, make
I
notes.
no my next video. I'm gonna start a video series once a week, and I'm gonna call it the Farmer Files.
Oh god.
And I'm going to review the most ridiculous Nation Chat posts about all the crying farmers, and
Oh,
and just
If you
read
go
them
to 52
aloud.
server, there's a crying channel. You should check that out.
No.
Yeah.
It's every server. It's every nation. Like it's so hilarious. So I'm just
Yeah.
gonna read them once a week, and I'll probably set up an email address where you can submit yours. But but
man.
Just grab it from
Man.
52
no,
server. There's a lot of them.
Woody, you
I
cannot steal the
wanted to do
idea.
that like a year ago, and
I'm sorry, Woody. I'm claiming it now.
you get the patent.
It is.
Maddie already licked it.
Nah,
He
you
owns had his cooties. You can't
he's
touch
got
it now.
He licked it. That's good.
I actually said this about 3 or 4 months ago if I ever started streaming, but
Flex says Discovery Channel for farmers.
dude, it's gonna be great, and the translations are just gonna make it that much more better. Like,
Oh, the translations are the best.
Oh god.
Oh god.
I'm
Oh
gonna
no.
share
Yeah.
an unpopular perspective on this,
I
just
forgot
based
Lumberg
on
was here.
everything that you guys have said. So I think, this game has a lot more about human psychology and relationships that,
Sure.
you need to kind of consider when, so I agree with everything that people are saying about the nation rules. And, we pretty much have the same set of rules. How well you get people to establish those rules is very similar to kind of what you do in work, in your workshops, in your personal lives, right? It's about you need to involve people in the table when you're setting the rules, right? And everybody understands that the people that spend, the people that are in the stronger alliances have more weight, but that's not really the issue at hand. You want to bring people to the table. One of the ways that we've successfully managed this is doing that, right? So we talked about kind of the democratic system, but the democratic system isn't just because we are woke. It is because you will get better enforcement, applying, and adherence to those rules. So I'll give you a couple of examples. So when you bring people to the table, you kind of enforce them, right? So who gets to it's absolutely exhausting to apply and be the police for the entire nation as a top nation. Nobody likes doing that. It's exhausting. That's not why we play the game. So you enforce the alliance leaders that are responsible for shielding their members. And if you really think about it, like, okay, they're social players. They are important. They're important for those social reasons. People go out, take a break. But you want to make sure that they are players that understand that there's one day in this entire month that you need to be active, and that's get on and shield and void. So any alliance leader that cannot manage that, they lose their status, and then but you really don't want to burn people. You want to make sure that you enforce it and you set the rules. So I'll give an example about we set a rule and we apply it no matter who it is. We've kicked out a C-37, a C-36 before an hour before Void and burnt him to the ground, right? I mean, you have to enforce those rules. You don't make exceptions.
Yeah.
If it was a C-38, would we make an exception? Maybe. I'm not saying that, but usually, that's how you do it. Or you make the decision, am I going to use the 2-hour shield? But I just want to kind of point out that, how well you enforce those rules is going to be dependent on bringing people to the table and kind of engaging them. And I'll get off my soapbox.
No. You go, Woody.
I was going to say, I think enforcing that rule is very important because that 2-hour shield is most valuable in the last 2 hours of the war. Avoid. It is the most valuable thing you have.
But it's the most cursed shield you could ever put on.
Yeah.
Look, I preach shield all, and people laugh at me about it, but man, it's so good.
Yeah. But again, those last 2 hours, if you're down by 1 billion, you can get it.
Yeah, no, that's why I say shield all is a very important skill, and the nations we merged with had it very very low, and that they kind of joked with me when I told them how high ours was. It was almost maxed, but that gives you a lot more freedom, and your players can shield in advance.
Yeah.
But to Lumberg's point, is and I sound like I'm this mean dictator guy. I'm really not. I'm a nice guy. Anytime I post a rule, I've got a Discord server. I post it in there. I ask for feedback, suggestions. Most of the time there's very little tweaking, but I will add things or remove things based on people's feedback. Also, we make the other alliances in our nation enforce their own rules. We had an instant very recently that we noticed one of the R5s was just letting shit go. Well, I mean, I kind of dropped the hammer on him and I said, "You got to step down." He did not want to. I set them as an enemy, and I basically made his members come together and get him out of office. Like, it sucks, but you have to have alliance leaders that can enforce rules. Otherwise, it takes forever.
I agree with that completely, 100% agree with it. And like you said, at your nation, you guys all pick who's going to be the R5. It's not the alliance. It's
It wasn't all of. We picked the top 3 R5s, right?
right.
Because we had to give up the best alliance in our nations, and we made them an R5 and said, you know what, we're going to give you an alliance with a very high tech level if you can do this, this, and this. We kind of handpicked them.
And this comes along with like real life situations. For instance, like supervisors versus their employees. They always tell the supervisors, don't become friends with your employees because it'll be that much harder to.
No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. This is a social game. We all have friends, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, when you aren't following through, you just need to step down, and you can become an employee and still play. In the case that I just mentioned, this guy got so butthurt he got rid of his city, but it's neither here nor there.
I just think
See,
if it's okay to have friends or but to an extent, because sometimes there's people who are friends with those who just do not listen, and they always get points, or they're just always not doing what they're being told
Y-
to do.
and
Then it's better to cut it off from there.
Well, that's what this guy was doing, right? So he came from one nation, and he would not kick and burn his friends, but yet he would kick and burn the people from the other nations and protect his friends. And there was a lot of other stuff going on too. He told people to hide their troops and flags before purge, so they didn't get purged. And I just really drew the line at that, and I'm like, you've got to step down. He did not want to, and I forced the issue.
See,
Yeah.
I remember. I don't know if I've read it, but I believe it's Slumberg's Nation, wherein they have a rotation of their R4s and R5s. And I think that's a really, really good idea because at the end of the day, R4s, R5, R4, R5, it's a job. It's not, you're put there to do a job. So people get burned out, enforcing stuff and doing this and, doing the daily ins and outs of the alliances. And if you're only just doing that, the game becomes, an obligation almost. And a lot of players get burned out when they encounter that. So I think that's a good idea to do as well. Rotate your R5s, rotate your R4s. It's also a good morale booster to your members. It's like, oh, I get to be R4 or I get to be R5. So I think that's also one thing that we should kind of take from Lumberg's Nation.
I know I get burnt out just for being the president here and there.
Oh man,
I think the
Being the
rules.
president is the worst.
being the president right after a merger is like a curse.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
want this, I
god.
want that, I want this, I want that. Oh my lord, wait your
I
turn.
applied before him. Why you don't give it to me?
Yeah.
Like, because you're C-22, buddy. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, and we got Boyd. You want Marshall and your
But I
C-72?
contribute every event.
I contribute. I need it for Medici. I need my fleet to be 3 troops higher with my C-22. No.
Look, kills,
No.
26,000 kills. Hello, you're not
I
contributing.
I think the
No,
key
it-
for
it's always the same thing. They always say they contribute, but they don't. We know they don't.
I think the
know who
key
farmers are, though.
for Lumberg's world or for his nation is just discipline and accountability, right? Because I've seen how his voids are fought, and I've seen how he talks about the rules and stuff that he implements. It really boils down to enforcing everything that you say, regardless of the outcome, regardless of who you're going to be killing or whatever. If you don't do that, it's going to bite you in the rear later on. So it's smart to be disciplined. It's smart to make people accountable. And if you can't follow those rules, then you might as well not have any. So I think that's one reason why Lumberg's nations are always so good.
No, accountability is the number one thing for a leader, period. Like, that's
Period.
if you screw up, if anybody screws up, that they get caught, make them show the battle report. Like, I mean, it's the small things, but everybody has to be accountable and know why they screwed up and how not to do it the next time.
Yeah.
Well, why do I need to show a battle report? You don't believe me? Why would I lie?
If you have to ask that question, then no, I don't.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
that's the thing. I mean, there's so many things to be accountable for. I mean, and I really do sound like a dictator or a tyrant, but
No,
you know,
no, you don't.
I'm
No.
not. I'm just
No.
I want to win. And that's the bottom line. And my nation is designed to win all events, and I'm gonna make sure of it.
So I have a question. This is referring to 373. So how everyone has a top 3 or a top 5 alliances in a nation that you don't burn, so on and so forth. And R5 is supposed to agree with all the rules. What if one of the top, let's just say 5, is actually breaking the rules? One of the members are breaking the rules, and there are 5 is defending or hiding or arguing for that one player or 2 players or 3 players. Like, do you just say, you know what? Let's just burn your whole alliance if you don't want to follow the rules?
So I had that happen yesterday.
Yeah,
When I
we had that
when I,
happen in 425 recently as well.
it happened yesterday. I released the you've got to be C30 by this date, and I gave everybody 2 months. And the R5 of one of the top alliances says he sent me a message, and he said we're not going to comply with your rules. I didn't even respond. I just sent my alliance. I said, you know what? Fair game. Everybody burn it. Within an hour, the dude was gone. Everybody was a little bit butthurt, but I don't play that shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, Maddie, whatever happened to the guy that on that frenzy that was like cussing you out in the in your Discord? Did he quit?
Oh,
wait, which one? I don't even know
Which
who
That
you're
he said
talking about.
something about a funeral. He forgot a shield, or he didn't shield. You guys
Oh,
burned him.
look. Here's the thing: is
Excuse-
I've heard
Yeah, I
every
saw that.
excuse. I've heard every excuse so many times. I'm on a vacation in a tropical paradise. My cell phone signal doesn't work. My mom died. My aunt died. I don't know what to believe. I'm sorry.
The dog died. Cat
Yeah.
died. The
No,
hamster died.
I don't know what to believe, but if your mom or your aunt is on their deathbed and you were in the hospital, I promise you they're sleeping some of the time. You can hop on your phone and put a damn shield up. I mean, my
cheated
dad.
shield at most.
Yeah, my dad died a year ago, and I stayed in the hospital almost 24/7. there was tons of downtime. I was looking at my phone, playing around. I don't like these excuses when
Mhm.
you're expected to do something twice a month,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I need to add to that too because it drives me crazy too because I've been playing for 4 years and I've heard every funeral there is
Yep.
out there, and I look, I legit feel sorry for these people. I mean that's horrible and stuff, but here's the one thing that I want to get across to everybody: purge is purge, and nobody knows what's going on with your sister's dog. So if you are not shielded, it doesn't matter, who has Alzheimer and you have to watch them and you can't shield, you're going to get killed. So you can have the greatest excuse on the planet. It doesn't matter. You have to understand when purge happens and you get killed, that's just it. I mean, it's unfortunate and I'm very sorry for your circumstance, but that's just it. And don't come back and, you know, uh, try to burn everybody's flags down just because you got killed during purge. That's just the way it works. Nobody's going to know that you had to arrange these funeral plans and stuff like that. It's just the way it is. So I wish people would just get that through
It's
their head. It's
just the
not
world is
personal.
not the world is not it's like people feel like the world is all involved around them. No, it's your responsibility.
Yeah.
No,
You need to be responsible with
yeah,
your shield or hiding your troops or do what you gotta do. But under these, sometimes you can have somebody take care of your city. Like if I take a break or something's going on, I'll just have somebody take care of my city. That'll be better. Like if you have no time to be on the phone, have somebody take care of your city.
no, and
It's not
that's
that
a
hard.
good thing. In our world, we do have the buddy system. Most of especially the top players in our alliance, have at least one person with access to their city, just in case something happens. Because it does. But 9 times out of 10, you've you've got an opportunity to shield for that period of time,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Well, if you think about it, it's like Lumberg is actually like someone said, like it's a little society, So if you think about it, if you have an emergency in real life, you still follow traffic lights. You still follow rules. You don't
Unless
just go through every red light
unless your
just to
wife
get
is
somewhere.
pregnant.
Well, yeah, but then the thing is, yeah, but if your wife is pregnant, you still have to follow red lights. You still stop at red lights because if you don't, then you get into an accident. Then it's what,
Well,
So unless you call an ambulance, sure, why not? But it's the same thing. You have to follow rules regardless of where it is, game, real life stuff. It's like people always say that, oh, like this is just a game. I was like, well, if it is just a game, then it shouldn't be such a big deal if we burn your city.
Yeah,
Then
if you get blown
tr-
up, then don't cry about it.
yeah. Well,
exactly, yeah.
the,
Yes.
the crux of the problem is really people don't understand what this game truly costs.
Yeah.
They don't.
And
No, I don't.
one C30 that's got 30 million BP can make or break a war and cause all these other players to have to scramble, and completely change their day just to make up the points. If you're winning by a little bit of a margin, you don't have to play as fast. But whenever you're losing, oh my god, it's fucking crunch time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for cussing.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's
There's,
crunch.
there's one strike.
No, but it's
That's strike
true.
number 2.
I'm sorry, guys.
Sorry, I've been drinking. It, I don't know. They just don't understand what it truly costs.
Yeah.
I know. I
I've
mean,
been playing for so long that I just get tired of it. I got tired of it, to be honest. On Nation, let's see, 81 to 85, and then we got merged to 99. It was just always the same issue. The same issue with
Mm,
people not
You know,
listening, the
yeah.
shield drop. Oh, he
it's
bled
every
points. oh, you're not gonna do anything about it. Oh, he's back to where he was. Oh no, we're here with boy. He's doing it again. What we're gonna
Yeah.
do about it? Nothing. Oh, there goes
Well,
again. Same thing. It's
it,
just
it,
ridiculous. Ridiculous.
it boils down to accountability.
Yeah.
The first frenzy after our merge, I kicked 9 players from the number 1 alliance.
Let me.
The second void, I kicked 7
Yeah.
players. Like, I don't care who you are. I will kick you if you're not following the rules. You have to have somebody that's gonna enforce those rules.
Let me.
Yeah, because our side we have if since there's only us and another alliance, we're only a 2 alliance nation. So if one of their shield drop, we go and hit it. If our
Yeah.
shield drop, they go and hit it. That's how we worked. Cover
I
each
wanna.
other.
I want to make a
We
point.
kick.
I want. Oh,
Go ahead,
go
Woody.
ahead. Wait, wait,
Oh,
wait.
and I was going with what Nikki said on my like that's kind of neat, but because ours, what they do is they kick them out and then we burn them, and then they come back then a few hours later like, why did you guys burn us? And it's kind of makes it neater if the other alliance is the one burning them. Maybe they
If
won't
they
take it
have
out
to
so
ask
much that
why,
way.
they're a problem.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, that is true.
Mhm.
I'm talking about correct.
So I wanted to make a point to the viewers and the future viewers that will be watching this. Okay, the value of the city. I personally spent just over $75,000. Guys, that's a nice brand new truck. There's players that have spent over 300,000, players that spent over $1 million. So there's these people that are telling you these rules. They are heavily invested. People that have spent more money than they will ever see their entire life in a game. So they take it extremely serious.
Yeah, the top players spend more in just sheer speed ups than the average player spends on building the core of their city.
I think I have said this many times, that at some point, if you see that your nation is not changing for the better, that every event that you're going into, you see that you're pushing and then you're being pushed back because the same people are bleeding again, or you're just losing because the same issues of the players that you have or the farmers just keeps bleeding. And then that's just money wasted
Yeah.
because you need money to push to win. You need money to push for more points if the point gap does not keep increasing or decreasing, you know? At some point you get tired of that and then most likely you will either quit the game or it will get off to move to a different nation. And
No,
that's what I went through. And it was like I needed to move to a different nation because I just couldn't keep doing this. It's just a waste of
What nation
money.
was that before
I rather
52?
I rather spend the probably 81 going into
Oh,
99 after just seeing how they're gonna be
yeah.
in the long run. I just like I didn't want to stay there. I just rather move.
well, yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just cheaper to start over, or
Oh hell no!
find.
I'm not starting over.
Well,
That's
I
not cheap.
mean, it start.
It's cheaper to
Don't
have a
say it.
friend and
Don't
talk to your
say
friend
it.
about a city and then see if you
Yeah,
guys can like share the city. You know what I wink wink haha, and then just move.
that's where I was going at, but it's yeah. If you're essentially blowing your load and carrying everybody in your nation, or there's 2 or 3 players, they're going to get burned out and they're going to get mad and they're going to kill you.
Yeah.
It's going to cost them a lot of money, and they're actually better off moving to a better nation that's got better established rules that kind of fits their game plan better.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I always say if you're a new player starting in a new nation, before you start opening your wallet, figure out what kind of nation you're in.
Yeah, so when I started the game, I did not spend anything for 3 months because I wanted to figure out what was going on and kind of maximize my spending. Once I figured it out, I went very hard. And you just kind of got to do that. And especially if you're a free to play player, you've got to go into a nation, play for a couple of months, then move to another nation using all of that knowledge that you learned and build your city better.
Hey, I got a question for you, Woody. What's your playtime going to be between 373 and 52?
So I'm gonna be doing both at the same time. Well, not the exact same time, but
You're crazy, Woody.
you know what? Okay, I'm a C36 and 373, and I I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm probably not gonna leave 373. But I want to be in 52 as well because I like to fight, and so do you guys. In 373, if you have, let's say you have 30 online, and you're trying to do a speed attack, and only 12 show up, there's a problem.
Yeah.
There's a big problem, and I've addressed that issue so many times. So I mean, when that time happens, I'm just going to switch over to 52, and I know I ain't got to worry about people showing up to an attack because if I'm spending like when I was saying I spent all that money and I'm only a C36, let me tell you, I spent it majority in content, in speeds, and heals, just so I can make all the viewers, see stuff. So I mean, I don't know. Plus, now I'm a C38 and 52.
Yeah,
No,
that,
I mean,
that,
Oh,
that helps.
I'm strong too.
like honestly, if you're a top player, you're going to spend probably 25 to 50% just in speed ups. Like it's not
True.
cheap.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not cheap, period. And that comes down to like all these the big whales. You know, if you're having to spend more money just to win an event, I mean, there's a problem. And honestly, just me being in 52 for 3 days, seeing all the cities burn, holy cow! Like there is more red blood than I've seen in that nation than I've seen in the whole entire
I
game.
know, and there's still some cities to go hit, but you just gotta wait for the bubble to drop, right?
Well, Woody, you were precious yesterday with your new city. You were like scouting people, looking, and I'm thinking to myself, these people are all dead, dude. Like, what are
That's
you
what I
doing?
kept telling him. He would not listen.
I
Like,
was
like
I
it's
was told
52, man.
I was told that that they will speed attack you with numbers, like 70 people at a time. So to always stay bubbled and be very be very careful what you do.
But you were scouting for people to use your SOS on. Like, you have to realize these people are watching the bubbles to drop, and you're not gonna get to feed on that.
Like my bookmark page is so full of cities that I'm waiting for the bubble to drop. That's how it works
Exactly,
here.
exactly.
Mm.
You ain't killing nothing, Woody. I'm sorry.
Hey, guys,
Then
I'm going to
gotta wait
wrap
for
up in
Boyd.
about 10 minutes. So if there's anything else you guys want to, I mean, we can just keep yapping, but if there's anything else you want to cover about nation rules, go ahead and bring them up. I know that Matty D kind of brought up the 5 core. I don't know if we touched on all of them, but I mean, what we've got going on is good. I just wanted to let you know that 10-minute calls out.
And that was been 2 hours.
Whatever, yeah. So whatever rules you have as a nation, enforce it regardless of whether it's a farmer, a top player, or an R5, an R4. Don't care. The rules are for everyone.
Oh,
There
They
should,
they
yeah.
are with a big asterisk.
I know.
If you have a ram or you have a great one or you have a tiger, you
Or
cannot
lead god,
enforce.
yeah.
Yeah, league
I know.
god. You can't enforce the rules with them.
I
I
know.
mean, the entire
I know.
nation cannot take them.
I
You
know.
hope
But
that they follow the rules.
I was going to say that. Lumberg, in your
mine does.
in your world, Lumberg, do you have like a Ram or a Sayez?
We have some super players, but no, we don't. We don't have a RAM or SAS.
I think that is kind of like what Matty D was saying is you hate to put an asterisk on something, but sometimes you have to.
Well, and I think I said this in another podcast, is Great One in our world is our Ramses level player. Well, he doesn't pay attention to the rules. He doesn't attack anybody in nation. He is a very docile creature. But cross nation events, he's going to murder everybody. He never attacks anybody in nation. He just happened to be gathering during Purge, and one of the other alliances thought it'd be funny to teach him a lesson.
Oh,
Oh
What-
my
And-
god.
what lesson are they going to try? What lesson?
well, no, the lesson that they taught him was they sent like 15 people against his one little gathering armored soldier fleets, and they beat him.
Oh,
When
Wow.
he woke up in the morning, he was pissed.
Oh.
He was pissed. It just so happened to be the alliance that we actually had in 527. It was still named the same thing, and we built that alliance from the ground up. And he's like, "No, fuck all you guys." Damn it, I keep cussing.
Don't sweat it.
He's like, "Screw all you guys," and he went to town, dude. Like, he felt like it was a personal attack.
From
And-
one docile farmer to a tyrant.
Yes,
What have they done?
and this man never farms. He never farms. I don't know why he was farming, so I didn't even think about telling him the farmer rules. It was my fault completely.
Yeah, so
know?
lead god in 425 helped create the rules, so he knows them, so he
Yeah.
enforces them. So we never had that. Well, we never had that problem with him, but with him, like everything's fair. If the rules say this, then the rules say this. Regardless
Agreed.
if you are, regardless if you are a 38, a 37, a 20, an
And
R5, an
that's
R4.
the way
Yeah,
it should be. I just
exactly.
I did not think to tell Great One that he did not need to farm, because he does
Right.
not ever farm. Right?
Yeah, but
Like
again,
he sent a full fleet of armored soldiers. He has no clue how to farm.
yeah. So for those nations that don't have whales like Lead God, Sias, or Great One, or Ram, yeah, the rules are rules for everyone. It's not just for the top players, the top alliances. It's for everyone. So it's to be fair for everyone.
I just want to say one thing before I know Simple Jack's about to end this. The biggest part about the rules is the follow through. Like,
Yep.
stop trying to find loopholes to avoid.
Well,
Follow through. And if you say this is what's going to happen when you break it, you gotta make it happen. Not say,
Oh,
we'll
God.
give it one last chance. You can't do that.
Well, that's why my rules are 10 pages. Like, I want to say one sentence, but I know the
Hey.
loopholes. I know what they're going to say. I know what they're going to ask. And like one simple rule turns into a dissertation, and it drives me nuts.
Yep.
Like, really, it does. Like, I should just be able to
No.
say, hey, don't do this. But no, I've got to say, don't do this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And you can do it's stupid.
Yeah, no. Like previous nations, we said, if you attack it for RSS, it's a farm. And then someone just, I was like, what if it's my main and I want to give my RSS to other players? And I was like, who does that? Who
That's a-
lets their main get
That's
attacked for
Oh,
RSS?
I've
a
done that.
loophole. That's a loophole.
Yeah, but
No, I've done
again,
that.
it didn't. Well, no, we see. I
There-
I
there's
don't
a difference-
see
there's a difference
why. But
There's a
yeah,
between it being you, Matt, and then some Joe Schmo that his main is a 34 and he's
Yeah.
trying to do it with a 23.
Yeah, so if I've got, I've got way more RSS than I'll ever need, right? So I can send a fleet to Doomsday and say, hey, hit me, get your minerals, whatever you need to get to the next level, or hey, hit my farms. But I've let people hit my main city. Great One's let people hit his main city.
Damn, we don't even need to do that in our world. We just have loop parties.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, we're in the 500, so we've got a lot of growing up to do.
What kind of parties, Nikki?
And loot party.
Oh, loot.
Basically, you
Okay.
zero player and you go and loot it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very fun.
Flex does say, Maddie, you say more naughty words than him.
No, I don't actually. So normally I have something on my screen that says "Don't cuss." Like I have it on one of my monitors that says "Don't cuss."
You broke your own rule.
No, but I did not. I did not have it this
I
time.
didn't have it this time. That's why.
I did not have it this time. So
There's
I
that
was.
loophole.
There's no visual reminder for Maddie to go like, "Don't cuss."
There's that
So
loophole. I'm joking.
I
Yeah.
apologize. As long as we didn't say it in the first
7
8 seconds,
Yeah.
and we're allowed to say it once every 5 minutes, I think we're good.
We're good.
Yeah,
guys.
I did read that rule with monetization. Yeah, you're at 100%.
All right,
So-
guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I appreciate everybody coming on the show. I mean, it's really insightful. And I think really the biggest takeaway is accountability and enforcement, right? I mean, you've got to, implementation is pretty easy and there's a lot of different iterations, but you've got to hold people accountable and you've got to enforce them across the board. And if you need help with that, call Lumberg because he's the best at it.
Oh, 1-800 Lumberg.
Yeah, and he's got plenty of time too right now with his merge. So
he does. He's not doing a dang thing.
Yeah.
So he wants to help your nation.
Yes. And he's got 5 screenshots of his rules anyway, so he's happy to just spread the love.
Yep, very true.
I think you meant
Subscribe.
Maddie. Sorry, you meant Maddie, not Lumberg.
No.
No, Lumberg actually has like 5 screenshots of his. Yeah.
Oh no, I have 5 screenshots per rule.
Yeah, no, Maddie, no. That's a no.
No, I
Right.
overthink it and try to head it off at the pass.
Maddie's World has
Yeah.
like classes that you have to attend, like required training for each of
Yeah,
his rules.
no, you've got defensive driving.
So
Oh,
your class will be Maddie Rule 101.
That's it. Yeah. Rule
8-hour
101. Yeah,
8-hour class.
that's it.
3
Get your
credits each.
professional development per year.
I'm also a terrible dictator.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, guys.
my city got burned in Maddie's World because I didn't graduate.
Oh Lord, I can
Hey,
see that happen.
man. No, that's actually true.
I got debuffed because I dropped out.
I mean, I'd murder you all unless you get C30.
Cool.
31.
Thank God I'm 34.
31.
Yeah, I'd probably kill you anyway.
All right, guys. Thanks very much. See you guys on the other side. All right. Appreciate
All
it.
right, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, good night.
Night.